years since Bitcoin's launch in 2009, it has transformed from a fringe digital experiment into a trillion-dollar global phenomenon, inspiring both fervent enthusiasm and fierce skepticism. For some, Bitcoin represents a groundbreaking financial revolution, an innovation that challenges the power of centralized institutions, democratizes access to wealth, and paves the way for a new, more equitable global economy. For others, it's a mirage, a speculative bubble fueled by misinformation, opportunism, and the fear of missing out. As Bitcoin's value has soared, plummeted, and then soared again, critics have charged it with everything from environmental damage to operating as a digital pyramid scheme that preys on the naive and unwary. To understand these critiques is not to dismiss them. Instead, it's a necessary step in engaging with the complex reality of Bitcoin and the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem. How can a technology with no physical form and no central backing be considered valuable? What about the tremendous energy costs associated with Bitcoin mining? Does this outweigh any social benefit? How secure can a borderless digital currency really be? And who stands to gain or lose in this grand monetary experiment? Welcome to Wealth Building Secrets, the channel dedicated to empowering you with the tools to create wealth, achieve financial freedom, and master your money. I'm OG Lovejoy. I'm truly glad you're here. Bitcoin. Some call it digital gold, others dismiss it as a fleeting fad. But what lies behind the hype? Let's get into it. We'll tackle the biggest myths and uncover the truths about cryptocurrency's role in building wealth and financial freedom. We'll start with the pyramid scheme debate, explaining why Bitcoin isn't the predatory trap skeptics fear. Then we'll explore the question of value. Does Bitcoin truly have any, or is it just smoke and mirrors? From environmental concerns about mining to security and scams, we'll address risks, lessons, and ways to stay safe. We'll dive into volatility and speculation, explaining Bitcoin's wild price swings, and highlight real-world use cases where Bitcoin is changing lives. Finally, we'll look to Bitcoin's future, balancing its promise and pitfalls as a financial revolution unfolds. Whether you're an investor, skeptic, or curious observer, this article offers clarity in a world of noise. Let's separate myth from reality and uncover what Bitcoin means for your future. Debunking Bitcoin myths. Is cryptocurrency the new pyramid scheme, a financial revolution, or a speculative mirage? What if I told you there's a digital revolution underway, a financial movement shaking the foundations of traditional money? For some, Bitcoin is a gateway to financial freedom, a decentralized asset that empowers the self-employed, investors, and wealth builders alike. For others, it's a high-stakes gamble, dismissed as a speculative bubble or even a modern-day pyramid scheme. But where does the truth lie? Since its creation in 2009, Bitcoin has polarized the world. Critics claim it lacks intrinsic value, damages the environment, and is rife with scams. Supporters, like Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, argue that Bitcoin is digital gold, an antidote to inflation, and a cornerstone of wealth creation. This is what he had to say.
The world, as we know it, is based on 20th century ideas and 20th century technology. Stocks trade 9:30 to 4 unless there's a bank holiday. You can't do things on the weekend. Everything is slow. Everything is expensive. If we want to prosper in the 21st century, we need new ideas, and they need to be based on new technology. This chart you've seen before, I popped it up. It's $900 trillion of global wealth. It's that $900 trillion, it's spread across physical assets and financial assets that are 20th century technology. And in the upper left corner is a little orange blip, the little orange asset that could, what we call Bitcoin. It's 1 trillion. It seems like a lot if you started with zero, but when you look at it against the greater scheme of things in the world, it's 0.1%. Here's another way to see that same chart. It's not 900 trillion of assets. It's a bunch of assets held for their utility value and a bunch of assets held as a store of value, long-term capital. When I buy a house, I want to live in it. But when I buy a bunch of bonds, I just put my money there because I didn't know what else to do with the money. And when you start to see the world as a big chunk of long-term capital, $450 trillion or more of capital, and you start to think about the way we store that capital, you see the engine for the revolution. The global economy struggles because we're relying upon imperfect assets and imperfect systems to store that capital. It's crippling our capital preservation. So how do we engineer a better system?
As Saylor puts it, if you don't have Bitcoin yet, you're late to the party. Let's cut through the noise and unpack these claims. Is Bitcoin a pyramid scheme? Can it ever truly replace traditional wealth-building methods like real estate and stock market investing? Let's dive into the myths and truths about Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency that has captivated and confounded the world. Is Bitcoin a pyramid scheme? The term pyramid scheme is a loaded accusation. Pyramid schemes thrive on recruitment, where new money pays the returns of older participants. Eventually, they collapse because there's no true value creation. Does Bitcoin operate this way? No, and here's why. Bitcoin doesn't promise returns. It doesn't require recruitment. Its price isn't manipulated by a central figure. Instead, it's determined by market demand. Michael Saylor, who famously invested in Bitcoin, describes its appeal. It's decentralized. It's a hedge against currency devaluation. Pyramid schemes thrive on centralized control, but Bitcoin's decentralized nature makes it fundamentally different. Yes, bad actors exist, exploiting Bitcoin in Ponzi schemes, but blaming Bitcoin for these is like blaming the internet for phishing scams. The key takeaway: Bitcoin isn't a pyramid scheme. It's a neutral tool with potential for both good and bad. Understanding its decentralized foundation helps separate the technology from those who misuse it. Does Bitcoin have intrinsic value? Bitcoin is just code. It has no value. Critics love to hurl this accusation, but let's pause. What gives anything value? Scarcity, utility, trust? These are the very qualities underpinning Bitcoin. Take Warren Buffett, who values assets with clear scarcity and utility. Bitcoin has both. Its supply is capped at 21 million coins, making it immune to inflation, a critical feature in wealth creation. Its utility lies in its portability, divisibility, and resistance to censorship. Unlike fiat currencies, which governments can print endlessly, Bitcoin offers financial discipline. Think about this. Is gold inherently valuable, or do we agree it has value? Similarly, Bitcoin's value is rooted in collective belief and utility. Jeff Bezos once said, "Your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room." Bitcoin's brand as digital gold is gaining traction because its value speaks for itself. Just ask the millions of users transacting globally without intermediaries. The environmental debate Bitcoin mining has faced harsh criticism for its energy consumption. Comparisons to entire nations' energy use are often cited, but let's put this in perspective. Yes, Bitcoin mining uses energy. So does the global financial system, printing money, transporting cash, running ATMs, and maintaining banks. The difference? Bitcoin's energy usage is transparent and increasingly renewable. Companies like Marathon Digital are embracing green energy solutions, with CEO Fred Thiel emphasizing the future of Bitcoin mining is sustainable. Here's a fun twist. Bitcoin mining could drive renewable energy adoption. In areas with surplus energy, Bitcoin miners are stabilizing grids by consuming excess power that would otherwise go to waste. The real question isn't whether Bitcoin uses energy, it's whether the value it creates justifies it. The answer? That depends on your perspective. Scams, frauds, and the Wild West of crypto. Let's talk about scams, a sore spot for Bitcoin critics. From hacked exchanges to fraudulent schemes, the headlines are grim. But is Bitcoin itself the problem, or is it the lack of education and regulation? Coinbase, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges, emphasizes user security with tools like two-factor authentication and cold storage for assets. Yet many users leave funds in unsecured wallets exposing themselves to unnecessary risks. This isn't a Bitcoin flaw, it's a human one. I'll tell you a story from my early days in Web3, learning about Bitcoin, NFTs, DeFi, etc. In 2019, amidst the pandemic, I was exploring the promises of Web3 when an acquaintance convinced me to try a crypto investment platform. She claimed her uncle was an investment firm owner. His employees crunched the numbers and told him when and what cryptocurrency to invest in. He then gave her a signal. I watched her deposit £10,000 and select a cryptocurrency, and within minutes her balance jumped to £12,160. She withdrew it effortlessly, explaining it was all about following her signals. Intrigued but skeptical, I started small, investing £1,000. It worked. My account showed a return of £1,205. Over time, her encouragement and our growing virtual connection nudged me further. I invested another £2,000 and saw £3,685 returned. The results seemed real, but something didn't sit right. Relying on lessons from my NFT experience, I dug deeper. A quick online search revealed the truth. The platform was a scam, a copy of a legitimate cryptocurrency site. Realizing I needed to tread carefully, I played along, feigning ignorance. During a casual chat, I asked her to remind me about the withdrawal process. It took 2 days of emails and a call to them from her before I was provided with a password from the site to withdraw funds. I could only get my funds back because she had expected me to invest at least £10,000 plus before pulling the rug. The ordeal left me wiser. The lesson? Always do your own research, no matter how enticing an opportunity seems. Due diligence and secure practices are your best safeguards. Whether it's Bitcoin, stocks, or real estate, trust is earned, not assumed. In the world of wealth building, vigilance is the key to protecting your hard-earned money. Volatility and wealth creation. If you've followed Bitcoin's price charts, you know it's a roller coaster. Critics argue its volatility makes it unfit for wealth creation. But ask yourself, weren't early Amazon stocks volatile too? Long-term holders, understand that Bitcoin is a marathon, not a sprint. Charlie Munger, Buffett's business partner, has famously said, "The big money is not in the buying and selling, but in the waiting." Bitcoin follows this principle. Patience pays off. Think about it this way. Traditional wealth-building assets like real estate also experience market cycles. Bitcoin is no different. It's just newer, and the cycles are faster. With time, as adoption grows, volatility may stabilize. The key? Focus on the long-term trajectory, not the short-term noise. Real-world use cases. Can I buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin? Critics mock its practicality, but Bitcoin's use cases extend far beyond lattes.
A few weeks later, across the ocean, a financial crisis was reaching a breaking point on the island of Cyprus.
Cyprus is on the brink of going bust. The rest of Europe has agreed to a bailout, but only if Cyprus raids people's bank accounts for quick hard cash.
People trying to get money out of the cash machines, but electronic transfers have been stopped.
Never did I think that they would, in a completely unprecedented manner, resort to stealing money from people's bank accounts.
The Cypriots had placed their trust in the banking system, and it had failed them. As news of the crisis spread around the world, Bitcoin believers were quick to point it out as an example of why a currency free from government control is needed.
There's actually Bitcoin ATMs apparently being set up in Cyprus.
All of a sudden, Bitcoin looks like an attractive prospect.
Bitcoin is a lifeline. For entrepreneurs, it's a way to bypass banking fees and delays. Even major companies like Microsoft and PayPal now accept Bitcoin, signaling its transition into the mainstream. Bitcoin's role isn't to replace fiat currencies, but to complement them. It's a store of value, a hedge against instability, and a tool for financial inclusion. As Larry Ellison said, great wealth is created by solving real problems. Bitcoin's global adoption proves it's solving problems traditional systems can't. The future of Bitcoin. Where does Bitcoin go from here? Critics argue it will be replaced by better technologies. Proponents see it as digital gold, the foundation of future innovations. The truth lies somewhere in between. Bitcoin isn't static. Projects like the Lightning Network are making transactions faster and cheaper. Regulatory clarity is improving, reducing risks for investors. As Bitcoin evolves, so does its potential for wealth creation. Elon Musk reminds us, You should take the approach that you're wrong. Your goal is to be less wrong. Bitcoin's critics and supporters alike must stay open to its evolution. Whether it's a risky gamble or a transformative force depends on how you engage with it. Beyond the myths, is Bitcoin a pyramid scheme? That's a definite no. Like any revolutionary technology, it's misunderstood, misused, and evolving. For wealth builders, it's an opportunity, not a guarantee. Success lies in education, strategy, and resilience. If you're ready to explore Bitcoin's potential as a tool for wealth creation, remember, the power lies in your hands. Secure your investments, diversify your portfolio, and think long-term. Whether Bitcoin is your gateway to financial freedom or just another step in your journey, it's a tool that rewards those who approach it wisely. What's your take on Bitcoin? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow wealth builders. Keep learning, keep growing, and make your money work for you. Thanks for staying until the end. I've been OG Lovejoy. Watch our next video, Investing and Building Wealth for Beginners. I love you all. Take care of yourself and each other.